Hi, I have an unusual passenger today. It's a Kitfort KT-1328 Planetary Mixer. I'll tell you how I repaired it, whether it's worth buying, and if you did, what to do with it. So I have this unit at home, all metal, 1.2 kilowatts, 8 speeds, a 5 liter stainless steel bowl, and basically just like the real thing. Only from the very beginning it had its drawbacks. The first is that it rumbles like crazy. The second is that it gets just as hot. And the third is the juice itself. During operation, black oil dripped from the gearbox right here into the bowl. I understand that oil is added to baking, but not in the same way. Damn, no other kneader will make black bread from white flour for you. And gradually, as I used it, the sieve got louder and louder and louder. And the rotation got smaller and smaller. And at one point, it stopped spinning altogether. But it rumbles just fine.
Life is pain. Life is only pain.
Since the warranty had expired, I decided to see what was inside for myself. It was quite a sight. The channel wasn't there yet, so I'll show a couple of photos. The first thing I noticed inside was flour. It was everywhere in the motor. On the brushes, on the windings, in the gearbox, on the worm, on the pinion. I think even less would have been there if they had sprinkled it there on purpose. It's just designed that way. The rear engine air intake isn't covered in any way. So if there's flour near the mixer, odd enough, of course, it'll pick it up and bubble right up into the motor. And then the flour mixes with the grease. So what? It stopped spinning because the gearbox had stopped working. The factory grease inside the gearbox had decomposed and glued it together tightly. This is despite the fact that it wasn't under any significant load. I have a sneaking suspicion about how they chose this grease at the factory.
I'm brainless, gentlemen, but I do have an idea.
I don't usually believe in theories about planned obsolescence, but this one feels like they designed it to last a week and then give up. The entire gearbox is covered in some kind of crap like uncured epoxy. That's why it won't turn. If you found a 50-year-old bucket of solitol in your grandpa's garage, it would still be softer than this. If it hadn't been greased, it would have worked. It took me 2 days to get it moving. A bag of rags, a toothbrush, and a liter of gasoline. This eventually led to the next problem. The hardened worm gear on the motor shaft was rubbing against the glued-on plasticine gear, causing massive wear. And the transmission shorted out. And then began a 6-month search for that gear. The service center said they'd check the parts availability and call me back and call me back.
Just... wait here?
I started searching marketplaces. This gear was available on both Ozon and VB, and it cost $70. While I was still processing the fact that they were selling crappy plasticine gear, for 200 rubles it disappeared. I started looking for at least similar gear. Well, it's just a gear, nothing special. But somehow it didn't work out, no luck. Then I thought about maybe finding a different mixer, but that didn't work out either. Out of curiosity, I asked a couple of appliance repair shops if they carried kit-worth parts. The response was almost the same. Then I started looking for custom gears. It turned out that gear cutting cutters don't reach us at the moment. Almost in despair, I decided to stick it in with the latest 3D printing. I haven't scraped together enough money for my own printer yet, so I ordered one from a 3D printing company. It cost about $50, including scanning the parts. They told me up front that it wouldn't replace steel, which I hadn't realized. But they promised to print it from the most durable nylon available. Here it is, a beauty. I first ran a screwdriver through the cleaned and lubricated gearbox. I'll show you at the end. After a couple of minutes of filing the mounting hole, I hammered it into place. I filled it with silicone grease. It's not usually suitable for plastic gears. And now the moment of truth. I don't know how long it will last, but so far it's been a month and it's been doing fine. I've put it under a good load a couple of times. It needs 3 kilograms of mincemeat without a problem. We'll see what happens next. Since I replaced the bearings and grease, it's now quieter, smoother, and it was out of the box. So, is it worth buying? My subjective opinion, considering this machine cost is $250, that's $300, is that if you have the money, buy something better. If you're short on cash, there are plenty of options of absolutely the same quality, but for much less. Share your favorites in the comments. But what should you do if you already have this miracle in your kitchen? Let me say right away that I'm a big believer in the principle of leave it if it works.
Seen it. I've done it. You don't need it.
But if you notice any noise, overheating, leaks, and so on, here are my recommendations, which are not mandatory. Take it to any proper repair shop, be it a home appliance or a tool repair shop, and ask them to do the following: completely disassemble it, blow it out, replace the bearings on the first and second rotors, clean the damn factory grease out of the gearbox, and put in proper grease in there. After that, I think it will serve you well. It's always easier to fix something before it breaks. For bearings, it's best to ask for the best. 260 C900s won't break the bank. If you need to order this gear, I've left a 3D model. The Google Drive link is in the channel's YouTube videos. No need to draw or scan anymore. That's basically it. Watch my other videos, subscribe. Good luck to everyone.
If you need anything else, come back.
And now I present to you the Makita LXT cordless mixer with multi-speed control on a battery-powered platform. Hey. They already have kettles, coffee makers, and microwaves, but I had to invent the mixer myself.